Nice little musical intro.
We are here, y'all. It's Tuesday. This is Anything But Average, Achieving Success in Life. We are a few minutes late today, but that is okay. It's 2020 and we're late for good reason.
It's my fault. It's my fault.
I got my good friend Sekou with me today. I'm super happy that he's here. It's December. It's almost the end of 2020. I always reflect on at the end of the year, like what happened that year that I didn't like and what do I wish I would have done differently, and all kinds of reflections. And I'm pretty sure that most of us can reflect on a lot from this last year. And so I thought, no better person to kick this month off with that kind of a series than Sekou, because he's pretty deep and I love his thought process. So welcome, Sekou.
I'm deep like a wishing well. Just put us over there. Good. Hey, first of all, let me just say it's been too long since we've hung out. So I'm super excited that we get to end the year like this and we get to hang out together. And you hit the nail right on the head, man. This year has been weird and fascinating and sad and funny and all of those things wrapped up into one. I was telling you right before we started that one of these wonderful agents put a meme up on the internet that said that they thought that 2020 was going to give them everything that they wanted, but instead it showed them everything they already had. And we've been moving with that that energy since we read it, man. It's been awesome.
And think about when this all started. It was like freaking 9 months ago, you know?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I was talking to an agent up in Boston, a good friend of mine, she's confused about what she should do next and what steps she should take and all this and that. And I said, well, none of us have known what to do next in 2020. So instead of trying to be right, just go ahead and make it right. Just go ahead and do it and make it right. Make it your own. Forge a new trail. No one has done this before, so you can't do it wrong. Just take some action. And if you lock into your mind and in your heart and in your soul, depending on who you are, that you're doing it for the right reasons, you're doing it for the right, and you're doing it to include, you can't go wrong.
If you think about it, in our industry, we've been doing this forever. It's pretty seasonal. It's cyclical. We pretty much know what to expect in November and December, October. But you know what? Nothing is normal this year. And so we don't. It's like every time you think maybe COVID's going away, it's like, boom. No, it's not.
It comes right back.
My businesses are going to open up. It's like, oh, no, you're not. It's like, really? What do you do?
It's really weird. It's weird that I get to say this, by the way. I was having a conversation with another coach and Tom Ferry, right? And it was a conversation that we were having, and we were talking about what an agent needs to do. This was way in the beginning, right after the first shutdown, right? Right after the first, excuse the noise, we're in school, so you'll hear the school alarms going off. Alexa, stop. So
never ever have I seen that before in a live.
So we started talking about what the agent needs to do, and some of the other agents are talking about they have to innovate and this and that. And Tom said, if you are a company, if you are a business that cannot adapt to the digital market, you will be left in the past. And so this has been a year of surprisingly good decisions, even when we've had to make them out of duress, right? And so, the decision to move over to a company that's already cloud-based, right? If the shutdown never happened, we might still be convincing agents that they don't really need a physical desk, right?
Yeah.
But the shutdown happens, everybody moved to the cloud. Your kids are in the cloud. Grandma's in the cloud right now.
Yes.
We're making dinner together in the cloud, and so what we're finding is that 2020 has removed a lot of our excuses.
Mm-hmm.
It's removed a lot of our excuses, a lot of preconceived notions about the way things are supposed to be, and gone into the way that things should be. And for that, I'm grateful.
And so for everyone that's watching and listening, if y'all don't know where Sekou is, he's in New York. So he's not even here in Houston. So Sekou kind of fill us in right now, present day. What is it like in New York right now regarding shutdown and industries and stuff?
You ever see the Road Warrior? No, I'm just playing. It's the level right before that, right? It's like right before. Well, it's weird, right? So our community, the Hudson County sort of community, where it's New York and New Jersey, uh, Manhattan being the center of the pond, and the concentric ripples going out are where people live. So most people, there's a lot of folks who live in Manhattan, but most people work in Manhattan and live, in those concentric rings. Well, there's an exodus from Manhattan because nobody wants to be in an elevator with 60 people,
Oh,
trying to social distance, right?
yes.
Nobody wants to be locked in an office with 120 people trying to social distance, right? So there's an exodus out of New York as far as living and working, right? And so
Okay.
there's high paying jobs, they're working from home, and the restaurant industry is suffering. And it's not so much the shutdown in and of itself that's causing the industry to shut. It's the fact that so much of the industry is relying upon we're all in a symbiotic relationship.
Mhm.
So the guy that sweeps the floor after everyone's gone out of the club that everyone went to, after dinner that everyone ate at, after the bar that everyone met at, after work that everyone worked at, you know what I mean? Those
Oh,
folks
yeah.
are all not coming in. So, there's a trickle down effect. The good side of that, though, is that all of the neighborhoods in New Jersey and all the neighborhoods in Hudson and Bergen and Essex, the surrounding areas in Queens and the Bronx and Brooklyn, like that those concentric rings are flourishing because those are all like 2-family, 3 families, and not like the 300 families that are in Manhattan.
Okay.
So those places are experiencing a boom, and the
Interesting.
restaurants there and the deliveries and all of those things. So if we look at it like it's a Rubik's Cube, if you just turn the cube over and flick it a few times, you may find that you can get the sides together, even if you can't get the whole cube together. And that's how we've been sort of playing. Yeah, we've been planning business.
Okay, so as far as like your home inventory, what is that like now at the end of 2020? Where did it
It's
start and where is it now?
at 2020, when 2020 came in, it's interesting. We did this thing called we do an appointment academy, and we did this thing called 10K Wednesday. January 1st, 2020 was a Wednesday. And so we looked to make 10,000 contacts, and we stepped out of that day. We made something like 16,000 contacts that day. It was
That's cool
crazy.
as crap.
It's like nuts, right?
Yes.
And out of that day, the rest of the month there was activity, and then right at the end of that month is when the fear around COVID kicked in. So between February and I'd say April, right, folks were like holding on to their purses and not moving, and they wanted to see what happened. There was the shutdown up here, and then April, May, June, we see 3 to 4 times the amount of inventory. And I'm not talking like an overabundance so that the prices go down. When we came out in April, May, it was like the perfect, I don't want to use the word the perfect storm. It was like synergy. There were people that were looking to move, and there were people that were looking to buy, and there were people that were looking to sell, and there were people looking at, and I think when we came out of that, it was a realtor's market. It wasn't a buyer's market or a seller's market. It was the perfect market for a realtor. And if
Okay.
you were working and if you were paying attention, you experienced maybe a 3 or 4 time response to your normal business activity. And it's been like that. It's just been rolling like that. The commercial industry, we do have a number of commercial agents that we work with. The commercial industry is shaking a little bit. So they started pivoting, and they started looking at it like it was residential. And to be honest with you, there's been no loss, right? So people are moving, right?
Yeah.
It's the number one thing you need when people are moving: storage.
Yep.
So they started selling and buying storage spaces. And the next thing you know,
Crazy.
the commercial industry is strong. So as long as we pivoted, we saw about a 3 or 4 time multiplier for our business. It's been
Okay.
crazy.
So now being at mid-December, almost the end of the
Mhm.
year, almost Christmas, Are you
Mhm.
guys seeing the slowdown there yet? The seasonal slowdown, one. Are you seeing your inventory decrease?
I
Really?
we have the normal. I want to wait until after the holidays type of person, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's a normal objection, right? But we have the normal objections. There's nothing abnormal about our market right now. If there's a slowdown, it's slowing down from a 4 times to maybe a 2 times, right?
Okay.
I have agents that have been busy all the way up until today. And it does take a bit of creativity, right? So working with other agents in other states, right? So we did this thing called a super mega virtual open house. And so we had 6 states, we had agents from 6 states along the coast. Next time we'll include you in the
Yeah.
central and in the central. We did, you know what? We did have Austin. We did have 2 agents from Austin there, an agent from Vegas and an agent from Portland, but we didn't get to show their units. So
Okay.
I'm staying with integrity, right? And we
Yes.
showed, I think, 3 or 4 units in a half an hour and had so much fun showing it because it was like a talk show. It looked like The View and everybody was commenting on things. We had 18,000 views.
Holy crap. That is awesome.
Okay. So
Definitely
now
put
we're
me in
just
one of them.
yeah, you definitely have to come on. And so now, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, if you are just a little bit willing to step out of the norm, right? Because the norm is we have an open house. It's on Saturday. It's between 12 and 3. You know, we invite the neighbors. We see about 11 to 20 families or something like that. If you're willing to step outside the norm, what they did was don't tell anybody, Trisha.
Okay. Never.
They invited all of the for sale by owners that they had called to watch the video.
Love that.
The
Love
for
that.
sale by owners, I think almost all of them converted to listings.
That was like a brilliant idea.
And that was the agents thinking about the market, thinking about how to communicate. So in New York, you're not allowed to call for sale by owners and expireds because there's a state of emergency.
Oh,
So they
okay.
have to think of different ways to communicate with them. And so what I said was, or what we decided was, hey, reach out to them in Facebook and invite them to showcase their units virtually with you. And if
Love
they
it.
have any questions about what that looks like, invite them to ours. Well, it was a huge success. We had a great time. We had a great time.
Yeah. So how long did it last for?
It was I think 33 minutes total
That's not
was
long at
the
all. And to showcase that with that kind of viewership, that's insane.
yeah, so now it wasn't 18,000 in the 33 minutes.
Right.
So in the 33 minutes, we had about maybe 500, 560 or something
Still
like that.
good.
But with the shares, there's over 200 shares. There was 32 agents on the call. So they all shared it as well.
Mhm.
And we had lenders and title companies speak in on it and share it, et
Nice.
cetera, et cetera. And those FISBOs, guess what they did? They shared it on their page.
Of course.
And so we met a bunch of strangers. So we figured with 18,000, there was a 1% return. Like internet leads give us 1%. It's
Mhm.
180 lead transactions that'll come out of
That's
that.
insane.
It is
You know?
insane.
And
It is
then
insane.
if you think about it, that happened because of the stupid COVID coronavirus, you know?
That's my point. 2020 showed us everything we already had, right?
But
I
we're
get to
doing
work
or
with you.
loving, you know?
Yeah, I get to work with you. Before 2020, it might have been a novelty. Let's say we went to some function and we met each other and the energy was great. It's like, oh my God, Trisha, at some point we got to get together and do something. Well, what are we going to do? I don't know. So, we see each other the next year and,
Yeah.
it doesn't cement the same. And maybe we genuinely want to, but haven't thought about the delivery. Well, we met at a convention,
Yep.
basically, the Live with Leaders,
Yep.
and we said we have to do something. And I think within a week, we was doing something.
Yep. And
You know what I
things
mean? And
happen.
it I may be an outlier in this, right? I am looking at the pandemic and the resulting industry. right? Without any stimulus, without anything else, all of that stuff would be great. It would help the country, all of that, without any kind of political leaning or anything like that. The pandemic and the resulting industry, right? Necessity is the mother of invention, right? The pandemic and the resulting industry is going to revolutionize the world. It's going to
I agree.
revolutionize the way that we educate, the way we transact, the way that we communicate. It's revolutionizing the world.
It is. And so, looking back on it now, it's like, and then there are a lot of people that have went out of business and a lot of people that have suffered. And that is super unfortunate and very sad. And none of us are
Yes.
happy about that.
No.
But like I
No.
tell them here in our office, it's like, okay, but we in the real estate industry, we affect so many other industries and so many other families depend on us to keep the needle moving, to keep people buying and selling. Because the
Yep.
minute you and I stop caring and just decide we want to be lazy and be in fear, then there's all these families and agents that will suffer because of that. Carpet
That's it.
cleaners, movers, lenders, title people. We control all of that or help all of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I'm allowed to sort of be a little bit controversial, I moved my camera, so that's why I'm like looking at you and not looking at the camera. I apologize. Right. So if we allow ourselves to have a professional maturity, right? I'm not challenging anyone's livelihood or anything like that. But if we allow ourselves to have a professional maturity, if you think about it, there was a telegram, and that's how we got information back and forth, back in the day. That industry is gone because of all the innovation that has come out of it. There was a stagecoach that would take money back and forth. Wells Fargo, that's gone. There is no industry for that, right? So you know as innovation comes along, whether we like it or not, if we want to step forward into the future, with innovation also comes the dying off of business and the dying off of some more traditional stuff, and it's stuff that we love,
Oh, yeah.
right? It's stuff that we love. I'm sitting in my house. We just got 3 deliveries today of cat food and paper towels and stuff like that. At some point somebody's going to say, hey, let me ask you a question. Why are we spending $30,000 a month just to keep this place lit and heated when we could just have a warehouse where we just get this? So yeah, it's nice that you've got people employed, and please don't shoot the messenger here. But at some point, someone's going to be like, hey, this office space is not necessary.
Oh, yeah.
And the next thing you know, you'll have a cloud-based business that is thriving and growing and, you know.
Well, look at a lot of these big companies, well, especially here in Houston, like in the inner city where the Galleria is and like, really high end properties and high end stuff right downtown, those like for the suburbs, that would be a good hour drive, hour and a half drive into town in traffic, which everybody hated, but you had to do it. But now since COVID, people are working from home. And even a lot of these buildings have said they're not coming back whenever they're allowed. 70% of them are not coming back at full capacity. They've found that they don't need to. People are
They don't
working
need
as
to.
efficient at home,
Yeah. And
or
and
even
and,
more
and
efficient.
it is as and it's tragic and triumphant at the same time, right? So I have a really, really, really good friend. I call him my brother, right? I have a really good friend who owns 3 restaurants. He owns several restaurants. 3 of them he had just opened in
Oh,
February
wow.
in Jersey City. Just opened in February. And the place shut down, and there was about 3 minutes of panic for this guy, right? He had like over 200 people that he had employed, that
Uh,
right, and it's
yeah,
brand new employment. Okay, so people are setting up there, and he's one of those restaurateurs that really really pay his staff well, like all the way down to the porters and the bus boys and things like that. Like everyone is paid well
yeah,
because he has a higher expectation of service.
sure.
Okay, it's how he thinks. Well, pandemics happen, everything shuts down, and until the the industry around Uber Eats and Grubhub and things like that, until that kicked into place, he had no delivery service. His business, just to be clear, was a restaurant that had no delivery. You
Okay,
had to have it at the restaurant. It was that fresh. It was that quality. He
sure.
had no takeout containers or anything like that. So instead of shutting down, what he did was he made meals for the first line responders, for the hospital workers and things like that, and he donated them. He had all of this inventory and he donated them. Well, then Grubhub and things kick in, right? And no, he doesn't still have 200, 250 employees. He can't sustain that.
No.
But the employees that he has, he continues to pay them a really good living wage. And the industry, he said to me in secret, this is why I'm not mentioning the restaurants or anything like that. He says this is actually more beneficial, more profitable, and more predictable than it was before. So if
Wow.
we're there, right, and if we can take a little bit of, right, necrotized, right, if we could
Yep.
take a little bit of cutting away of the bad tissue, we will thrive with the good, you know. So
You
I
know,
said it. Don't blame Trisha. I said it. It was me.
but that's happy to hear that he was able to innovate, pivot. How are we
Yeah.
going to do this differently, be profitable, not let this defeat me? Which is
Yeah.
like been the name of the theme this year is I'm not going to let this define me or defeat me.
Yes.
I just got to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah. I just have to. Trish, if I can add a word, I have to be willing to figure it out. There's a lot of folks who are not willing to figure it out. When when Dave and I are talking about growing our business, right, growing our team, we're very selective with who we grow with. We've learned a lot. We've made a lot of mistakes ourselves, and it's influenced the mistakes has had an impact on the agents in our lives. What we say with every agent that we look to grow with is that, look, we're innovating and designing a plane while we're flying the plane, right? And so it like there's two different jobs for an agent that we're growing with. It's helping us to innovate, coming up with new ideas, trying things out, risking, right? And maintaining the plane that we're flying in.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a nut that comes loose, there's two types of agents. There's the one that points at it and says, "Hey, somebody do something about that. There's a nut loose over there." And then there's the agent that jumps on it and starts like tightening it and then starts to look around for who best to help
Yeah.
correct this issue. And
Yep.
so the willingness to jump on that issue is what creates in my opinion, a better agent, creates better business and helps us grow.
Well, real estate as a whole is changed. It's changed so much this year. It's going to continue to change, and like we don't even know what 2021 is going to look like. How can we predict that? We had clearly no idea what 2020 was going to be, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So now
I,
as we're in December, like you reflecting back on this year, what are some ways that were like way off and you were like, I wish I would not have even invested any time or energy in that? And what are things, silver linings for you?
I have really easy answers for that. There's one thing that regrettably we negotiated before this whole thing, right? So right around January of this year. As a matter of fact, we were negotiating this time 2019 for the bad decision in 2020. We rented office space. We got into a long-term lease for office space because so many agents were like, well, if I'm going to work with you, I need a space to put my stuff. And so we bent to that as an idea. So we still have, I think, something like 22,000 square feet of office space that
Big one.
maybe 6 agents are using right now, right?
Yep.
And I tell you, the surprise decision for 2020 was made in 2019. 20 months ago when we joined EXP, it was like, okay, it's going to be a good idea. This is the future. We're not going to need an office. We're going to, so eventually we'll get there. And we made a decision to move ahead of time. Well, who knew that would be probably the best decision for 2020 that we could have possibly made.
Yep.
So I guess the lesson for us is you can't think too far ahead, and you
No.
got to trust in your instincts,
Mm-hmm.
right? You got to trust
Yeah.
in your instincts and be willing to adjust. Right now, I'm rambling. I'm so excited, Trish. It's like 2021. I'm not too quick to put 2020 behind us, right? So I'm going to compound all of the benefits of 2020 in 2021. Right. So I'm going to double down on the amount of time that we spend interacting like this. Even when a physical interaction is optional, I'm going to make it motivational. I'm going to make the ability to get together in person the culmination of 2 or 3 virtuals, right? And guarantee that when we're moving forward, we're in synergy, we're in alignment, and we're going to either buy or sell or rent or invest or something like that, or grow together as agents. And so every agent that I work with right now, I've got them putting together a mission that they are going to declare to the public. Right. So
Yeah.
it's no longer just a business plan. It is a mission that they're going to declare to the public. And
That's so
ooh,
funny that you say that. Like I do reflections every December, of course. And so I had my team here do declaration letters last week. In fact, I meet with all of them one on one in December to hear what 2021 is going to look like for them, right? But I told them, I'm not going to sit down with you unless you have produced your 1, 5, and 10-year declaration letters. And I
that's
read them mine and I showed them mine so they would see kind of how, not what I expect is it's their own, but what it looks like, what it could look like. And an example. And so the 1 year is usually not that hard because if you're working and you're a business owner, you know what you're doing. You're always moving ahead.
right.
But you
Right.
go do that 5 and 10 year, now you're going to go deep because especially right now, trying to do it at the end of 2020 when we just had the weirdest year of our lives. It's like, well, how do I say 5 and 10 years from now? Who knows? I could
Who
have,
knows?
who knows? We don't know. But
Someone
like you
asked
just
me,
said, you got to declare it.
yeah. Yeah, you guys. Someone asked me the other day to write in your 2021 goal. And I sat there and I'm like, you don't have the time for me. We were on a Zoom and they wanted me to put it in the chat. I'm like, you don't have the time for me to write my 2021 goals. You want to know what my mission is? And the dude was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm going to be the best in the world.
Ooh.
And he was like, and I was like, no, that's my mission, to be the best in the world. You want to know how I'm going to get there? I'm going to do it by working with the best agents in the world. You want to know how I'm going to get there? I've got to meet the best agents in the world. So I'm going to reach out to them on a regular basis and provide the opportunities for them to grow and to share. You want to know what I believe? I believe that if you get out of the way of these agents, that wonderful, amazing things will happen. And that instead of trying to lead from the front, I'm going to lead from behind like a wolf and make sure that everyone moves together. And my perspective is that the only way for me to become the best coach in the world, the most highly sought after company in the world, is to work with the best agents in the world and to provide the best information and resources. And the dude was like, are you going to run this seminar? I was like, you asked me, man. I was just sitting back. You asked me, you know,
I
I
love
want to be
that.
the best. Yeah.
So my mission is I want to change the world
I
because the
got your
world's
back,
gotten
sis.
freaking ugly, you know?
Yes, I got your back, sis. Who'd have thought? Some Harlem kid and a Texas lady, right? A Southern gal, right? Who'd have thought that we could get together and change the world, right?
Yes.
And that's what we're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm inspired by your family almost daily, right? I talk to you. I watch you on the boat, and I'm like, oh yeah, such and such. Yeah, I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That kind of information spread with the world really quickly. I'm sorry, I'm rambling again.
No,
Right? You think about it like this: my kid in an urban environment right now can go learn farming from a guy in the middle of Utah
you're
or
right.
or Wyoming. Right, like right now, go right to the horse's mouth and learn about equestrian stuff. And
Yes.
and if you want to learn a language, rather than going to a Spanish teacher or a Chinese teacher or an Indian, you can go to Spain. You can go to China. You can go to
Yes.
India. Like so the immersion that we have right now in real estate says that you and I together in lockstep with our vision can change the world for the better and
We
set it up
can.
so that our kids can do the same.
1000%. And
1000%.
so the other day, last weekend, there was a GoPro event on. And of course, that would
Hmm.
normally be done in person. We'd be at them together and thousands of us hanging out, but we weren't. So it was virtual. And so I had appointments booked during that time because it's a weekend thing. And so, but I found myself like engaged as much like I like have that into my ear. I'm listening to it constantly. But, and then we had a chat room going on. You know, there was about 14 of us in the chat room. Carlos was in there. Jay was in there. Albie was in there. There's a bunch of us in there chatting. And we'd make comments and, you know, collaborating, of course, like we do. And, but at the end of the 3 days, I appreciated it and I got a crap ton of knowledge, of course, from it. And of course, I got the energy as much as I could from that chat room, but I did still miss that in person. Like if we were hanging out there, we'd be like, holy
Yeah.
crap, did you just hear what they said? You know? So, because I've asked other people, what do you think about big events in the future? And a lot of people's take is they don't think they'll come back. I don't know. I disagree because I'm
It's a
still
hybrid.
hungry for them.
I think it's a hybrid now. I think I think in the future, right? So think about the big events from the past and
Mm-hmm.
how overwhelming they were,
Oh, yeah.
right? And how there was so many opportunities to miss information because you was getting good information from over here.
Yeah.
So if we look at this thing in sort of like the multi-screen universe now, right? I
Mm-hmm.
can I can watch, you know, Tony Robbins on screen one and be getting the information, be in the chat box. And then in the chat box, I could be like, who's up for dinner later to
Yes.
talk about our ahas. So I think it's gonna be a combination. It's gonna be a hybrid of the two things. You know, we download our movies to watch our movies, but we still sit together on the couch to watch them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's,
Yeah.
you know, and now they've got software where Trish, you and I could watch the movie at the same time in different time zones and
Isn't that
share the
crazy?
screen and laugh and talk. So I think it's going to be a hybrid.
And you know, I was on with Nick Krem last week, and we were talking about the future and how things have changed. And it's like he and I were talking about the goals, like the 5 year plans, like even FedEx's 5 year plans. Everything just fast forward. It's like what they should be doing in 2025. They made it happen in 2020 because things changed like in the blink of an eye. Overnight, we are
Yes.
living differently, working differently. Everything is differently. So I don't even think we've come to see how it all plays into effect yet because it's still a work in progress because we still don't know. Like this
We still
GoPro
don't know.
event, when it was all done, like I didn't see the lineup, so I didn't know what time people were speaking. I probably was unorganized because my life is super busy right now. And so when I saw the agenda for the day of, I'm like, damn it, I got stuff booked during, like, I wanted to see Shalene Johnson and I wanted to hear Grant Cardone. And so I missed two of the most people I wanted to hear from. And I was like, gosh, I wish there was a recording of this. Now I haven't seen one yet, and they say there's not going to be one, but I was sitting there thinking at the end of the event, somebody should have had a recording about this, one of these organizers, and sold it, you know, because I would have bought it. And I'm sure everybody that was at the event would have bought it because they missed some of that stuff too. And then you always get more out of it your second and your third time that you take it in, you know, and you can share with your team and your agents.
Well, Trisha, you'll be very pleased to know that I am very close with one of the presenters at GoPro.
I am
And
too.
if if there is one, the presenters are definitely going to get a copy. And you didn't hear from me, and you people out there, shh, but we may be able to make sure that you get at least the two that you really wanted to see.
Yeah.
You know what I
And you
mean?
know, when you look at like the future, like when I was a kid, the Jetsons was a cartoon. Did you ever watch the Jetsons?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
remember how they talked on the freaking screen like you and I are doing right now?
This
Yeah.
is what we're
And even like
doing.
this, they would go up and dial something on the wall and then they had this conversation. And I was like, holy crap. Just imagine if when we're grown-ups, we can talk on a computer. Look at us now.
Look at us. Well,
We've
watch
become the
this.
Jetsons.
Remember in the Jetsons, right? So yeah, their cars flew. All right, so we're not there quite yet, right? But their
Yes.
cars flew on their own.
Mhm.
Go get in a car. Go get in a regular car. I have a Honda. I don't have a super high end 100, fiberglass. I got a
Right.
Honda Pilot 2021. It will not let me drift out of the lane. It'll steer itself. It'll brake for me. It speeds up for me. It damn near drives
Right.
itself. Right. And so you
Yes.
get these Teslas where you could put in the address and you could basically, I'm not suggesting this, this is not a suggestion. You can basically fall asleep and get there. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
so I think as far as planning is concerned, as far as business development is concerned, I would say this: be crazy. Forget be sensible, forget be reasonable, be absolutely insane and come up with goals that you cannot possibly do on your own. And then figure out who you can get to help you.
I
Who can
love
you
that.
help and who can you get to help you? It's where this is what this industry is. This is collaboration on a level that 2 years ago we couldn't conceive of,
Nope.
right?
Nope.
I'm sharing with you all of my contacts and you're sharing with me all of yours.
Yeah.
And together we're going to grow into a third level of contacts that neither one of us could have done on our own.
No. There's strength
And
in numbers.
there's strength in numbers. My martial art instructor used to say, walk around with your hand open, right? That way you can shake hands, right? If you walk around with your hand closed, you don't have all 5 of your friends to shake hands with, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
And there's strength in this is the strength, is the ability to shake hands, it's the ability to wave, it's the ability to smile. One frown doesn't outweigh all of your teeth when you're smiling. You know
No.
what I mean? It's who we were meant to be.
Yeah.
Humans were meant to be working together.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right? We were meant to be ants. We were meant to take care of things. And when we are working in the same direction, and I'm going to use this phrase, and forgive me, Trish. I know that you're a lot more peaceful than I am. But when there's a singular, when there's a singular enemy to focus on, humans do a really good job of pointing in that direction and working together. And I think that the fact that we can't see this virus, right? The fact that we can't see it, it doesn't have a flag, there's no song attached to it or anything like that. It's made it a little fuzzy for us. But the moment that we can see this thing for what it is, we're going to come together. And I think we'll be better than before.
I think so too. One thing that and I wouldn't say it bothers me, I'm just more aware of it, is those people like corporate America that did work in the tall office buildings, and they used to go in the big elevators, like you said, with 60 people, and they used to be around an office full of 100 people, and now they're working from home, and maybe they're alone all the time, or maybe they're surrounded by their spouse that they don't really care for, or now they don't care for them because they're with them all the time. It's those people. It's like, I think like people like you and I have to be out there on social media putting up positive content and happy and positivity, period, because we're attracting not just people in our industry, but normal consumers that maybe just need someone to smile one day,
Just need to smile.
Yeah.
Just need to smile. Oh man, there's a TED talk. This guy, 100 Days of Rejection. If you have the chance, look it up. Little Asian dude that's got a little bit of an accent. He's not so clear all the time when he's talking. Has one of the most positive things to share with the world. That negative, that no is a good thing, and that your ability to not immediately react to no will help you to grow. Right? He said that he went on this mission of 100 days of getting rejection. And he went on 100 days. Excuse my son.
That's
He went on
okay.
100 days of getting rejection, and what he learned is that rejection, no is often not just no. It's not yet.
Mm-hmm.
And the first day that he started this mission, he goes up to this guy, the security guy, and he, like I said, he's a small dude. He's a smaller guy. He's big dude, security dude, and he goes, "Can I borrow $100?" And the security dude is like, "No." And he goes, "Oh, okay, thank you." And before he could leave, the security guard says, "Why?" But he was so frazzled, right, that
Yeah.
he left. And he said he reviewed the video later and he realized that the guy wasn't just outright rejecting him. The guy just didn't understand why he wanted it and may have been willing to do it. And so as real estate agents, as salespeople, we should not be so infinitely restricted by no. We should
No.
embrace it and we should hang in there. And if your plan is like my plan. My mission for 2021 is to fail at doing 4,000 transactions.
Oh, love that.
And if you can embrace that, baby, then whoa,
That's
right?
huge.
And that's huge. If I
Mhm.
only did 1% of that, right? What is that? 40 transactions, right?
Yep.
If I only did 1% of that, that still would change the business. That would still change my life. That would still do better than before. You know what I mean? It's we
You know
have
what I think this year? One of the things I think this year, and I hope, for one, it has given me more of is grace. That
yes.
word grace, because we're so quick oftentimes to judge people or how they react to us or something they may say about us. It's like, hey, hold on a second, stop for a minute. Why did they react like that? And why are you reacting to the way they reacted? I went into a house the other day. I had my son with me, my special needs son, because it just worked out that he was with me that day and it was an appointment. So I did not know these people. My son can't wear a mask because of his lung issues. And so I had a mask on. The people, when they opened their door, they did not. I mean, they did have their mask on, but they saw my son did not. And they're like, hey, whoa, masks are required before entering our house. And I was like, okay, that's okay. I said, he falls into the American Disabilities Act and he has lung problems. He can't wear a mask. But if you want, I can come back another time when he can be at home. And they stood there for a minute and they were kind of abrupt and they were like, no, it's fine. Come in. And they were kind of
Yeah.
short. And I was like, so I am typically like, if you're being short with me, I'm like, I'm just going to shut down. It's like, I'm not going to be this positive force out there trying to be kind. And they were like that for about the first 20 minutes of the conversation, just short. And the
Mm.
moral of the story is I decided, because I was thinking, how am I handling this? How do I want to respond to all this? And I'm not liking the way they're acting towards me. But I didn't ever change my demeanor. I continued with my positivity and my routine, the way that I talk to people. And when it was all said and done, we were best friends at the end of the day. He emailed
Yeah.
me the next morning thanking me for spending that much time with him and that he can't wait for us to work together. Just the sweetest man. And I thought, you know what? Had I not given him grace, I don't know. I was entering his home. Maybe he was scared. I needed to
Yeah.
stop for a minute and check myself, And I think more people are going to need to do that because
I
we
love
don't know where their mental states are right now.
there's a phrase that, like, the customer's always right, right? Yeah, like we remember that from back in the day, right? The customer's always right. I think that the new improved version of that is go out of your way to make the customer right,
Yeah.
right? Like go out of your way to make the customer right. I live in an urban environment, right? And so the number one premium in my area is a parking space,
Oh,
right? Right? So I happen to have one of the only houses with a double wide, right?
oh,
Right. So you can technically fit 4 cars in my
you
driveway.
got gold.
Right. Yeah. I'm like
Yeah.
platinum. Right. Well, my immediate next door neighbor to the east of me is the only person that doesn't have any driveway space on the side, right? I don't know why they did it, but they decided to build another apartment instead of a parking space. So she's got this little Honda. I've got the Pilot. She's got like the Honda Spec. I don't know what it's called, right? And we were redoing our driveway, right? So we couldn't use our driveway. We couldn't even use our stairs. We had to go into the garage and go upstairs, right? Okay. So during the week that they were redoing the driveway, we were parking in our driveway.
I'm reminding you.
We have. Hold on one second. Sorry. Alexa, stop. Time to log into Spanish. Yeah. Yeah.
CJ time to
Alexa,
log into Spanish.
stop. So, long story short, too late.
Hey, you're on mute.
My microphone got unplugged when I yelled at Alexa. I think she did. So there was one day while our driveway was being repaired where both the big SUVs were in the driveway, and there's a third car that usually is in the garage that had to be out before they could do this thing, was in the space that my next door neighbor normally uses as her parking space, right? Because there's all of these driveways. The ones without the driveways usually keep the same sort of space.
Sure.
Well, she parked right up against the car, right? I mean, like right up against the car, and there was some friction.
I bet.
And she, well, now I see what kind of neighbors you are, and just like you, rather than going way off, right? Because I was about to go way off, right?
Right.
Rather than going way off, I just looked and I was like, you know what? I'm sorry that you're looking at it like that, but I'm also saying what kind of neighbors we have and seeing that we have a problem that we normally would not have. Maybe we can get some grace. I use that exact same word, like,
Yep.
and maybe we can get some grace. And it took all of the air out of that hot air, right? It took all the air out of that balloon. And she was like, "Oh, no, 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 I didn't mean that." And I'm like, "Look, we'll move. It's just this right this second. This is the space in the world that we have, and we're more than willing to accommodate you. Can we do X, Y, and Z?" And we moved, and and it just took 2 seconds worth of not reacting,
Yes.
hanging in there, not reacting. My one of my coaches said, removing the need to be right. And that right there, your willingness to walk away. You know what? You're right. He can't. This is deeper than just all of the news that you see, all of the people out
Yes.
there that are full of crap. And this is a real scenario.
Yep.
And I am willing to be inconvenienced and walk away and come back some other time. And they thought about it. They were like, no, come on in. This is worth the risk. Right.
Yes. Yes.
It's I hope, I'm confident. That's a better way for me to say it. I'm confident that when we come out of this as a people, we're going to be better people.
I am confident in that too, because we're going to make a difference. That's what we do, Sekou.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to make it
I think
happen.
we're going to be better people.
So
Gee,
when you look
Trish,
at
you
your
do these
goal,
things to me, man. I thought we were going to do something else. And man, we went down this path. This has been amazing. What were you saying? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
so I want you now to share with everyone. So normally, of course, we all do goal setting for our next year. And so like you said, in 2019, when y'all did your goal setting, you were like, well, crap, now hindsight, wish we wouldn't have done that office space. So for goal setting for you guys for 2021, how did you focus the team? What did you do differently? And what do you think others should be doing?
We, it's, you guys are going to think that I'm jipping you here. This is not deep. This is pretty simple. What we did was we decided what we wanted to achieve in life. So instead of a business goal for 2021, in coming out of 2020 and learning from 2020, what we decided to do was to have a lifestyle goal.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, we decided that, and the overall lifestyle goal is to share it as much as possible. Right?
Give me an example.
So what we're doing is we're creating mission statements, the MVVBP. I don't know how many people have heard of it or not. Mission,
No.
vision. So it's mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives.
Perfect.
Right? Mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. And we're putting this together as a business, communicating on a human level. Right? So imagine a big business, masters of industry, communicating with little old me and you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And sharing the mission on a human level. So, for example, the Appointment Academy, and I may even be able to share my screen. I don't know if I'm set up for it, but the Appointment Academy, we have a mission statement, right? And the mission is to become one of the most highly sought after coaching companies in the world.
I love that.
That's the mission. And that's a lifestyle mission. That's not, I want to be in the top 10%. I want to be one of the most highly sought after coaching companies in the world.
Yeah.
In order to achieve that, our vision is by working with the top agents in the industry and creating the top agents in the industry, we will propel ourselves like a rocket into that upper stratosphere.
Yep.
Our values is to constantly and never-endingly improve the information that we give by finding and repeating the best information that we receive. So we teach as we learn.
Yes.
And our belief, right? Our belief is that
Mhm.
only together will we succeed, right? And then
Yes.
our perspective of this whole thing, our purpose and our perspective is so that every agent that we know in our ecosystem has the life and the lifestyle that we hope they want.
I love that. I love that. A whole different perspective, because a lot
Yeah,
of people's
yeah.
goals are around numbers. Like we have a number here in the office that's important to me. Not that it's not it's 100 million in sales volume. That's a big number.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's
Mm-hmm.
like, but for me, that is an important number, not because it's a status thing. It's a number that's important. It resonates with me. I don't need
Mm-hmm.
to explain it. It is what it is. And so it's inside of me. It's gnawing at me. It's like, we're going to hit that because I'm laser focused on us doing
Well, you take
all
that.
the things that we need to do.
Well, you take that, right? And so that, right, I shared our mission statement, right? But
Yep.
our goal is to share it as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So you take that, it's gnawing at you. And
Mm-hmm.
as often as possible and in as many different ways as possible, you share it with the public.
Oh yeah.
You include them and show them how they can help you and your team to achieve this overall goal of helping, $100 million worth of people
Yeah.
in 2021.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so like I said, these guys, you guys are out there, you may seem gypped by me saying this like this, but it's more along the lines of how often can you share your mission with people? Our goal is to share our mission with people every single day.
I love that.
Right. And so whether we do 100 million or 10 million, right? We're going to do some business, right?
That's
Whether
right.
we do 100 million, 10 million, it's going to be reflective of the public. The public is going to let us know what they need.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're going to diversify our services so we meet the client and customer where they are, right?
Yes.
Just we're customizing the experience for our customers and clients, right?
Differentiating yourselves from the average, right?
Yeah. And so instead of keeping that to ourselves and letting them infer that we're customizing for it, we're going to share with the world as a lifestyle, as a business
Yes.
lifestyle, that we're customizing the experience for you. What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? And how do we help?
I love that.
And yeah, it's a philosophy, I think, born out of 2021, born in 2018, 2019, and matured in 2020. Right.
And I think 2021 is going to be an amazing year. I really do. I feel the energy. I feel the peace. We in our sales meeting yesterday, one of the agents, when we got done, she stood up and she said, I just want to tell you something. You have this glow about you today. And I said, well, that's cool. I love to hear that. And she said, you just look like you're at peace right now. And I go, oh, I am. I'm at peace. I've chosen to be at peace. I cannot help any of this chaos that's going on. I'm doing what I can to make a difference. And I'm at peace with it. I've given it to him and I'm at peace with it. And I believe by the time 2021 rolls around, we're all going to be at peace and everyone's going to have a great and abundant year. That's what I believe.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
putting it out there.
We asked for it. You put it out there. We asked for it. You know what I saw the other day? This is going to seem crazy, Trish. My 21-year-old son and my 8-year-old son were sitting on the floor meditating. Now, these are two of the most energetic little balls of energy that you could possibly put into a nuclear reactor with the
Wow.
Energizer Bunny and light them, right?
Wow.
And they were sitting there meditating. And not like pretend giggling and this, like sitting there meditating. And I walked in the room. It was absolutely quiet in the room. And I walked in the room and I'm looking around like, what, somebody do something wrong? Is this a timeout? Like, what the hell is going on? But I didn't say anything. I didn't want to disturb the groove. And they sat there for 15 minutes. My
Wow.
8-year-old. And so then I asked them about it later, and my 8-year-old was like, because we wanted to. We thought we should. So give yourself, ask for it, like you said. Right. Ask for it. Give yourself the grace that you would give the rest of the world.
Yep.
And do it in a way that is abundant. Anything but average. Anything but
Always.
average,
Always.
right?
Everyone needs to get off the what about me syndrome and focus on what about them, you know?
Hey, what about us?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What about us? Let's move forward together. There's a there was a I don't remember where I saw it, or I don't remember who said it, but it was on LeBron James's show on HBO. He does that barbershop show, and they're talking about issues and, from perspectives like these folks that have succeeded, and actors and actresses. And I think it was the episode with Chadwick Boseman with the Black Panther on there, and it's one of the guys said that he knew Kobe before he passed, right? And he knew Kobe when he was younger, and that he was talented, gifted almost in the game, but terrible at the game. Right? He was talented, gifted almost, but terrible at the game. He was a terrible player to play with. Nobody wanted to play with him because with all of his talent and with all of his gifts, he wasn't a team player. It didn't
Okay.
mesh well. And he
Okay.
said it was only when he embraced his imperfections. It was only when he embraced his imperfections that he truly became a powerful player, one of the greatest in the game. And one of the, I think Chadwick said, well, how did he embrace his imperfections? Like, was it a mantra? Was it a chant? Was it a book he read? He was like, no, he just started practicing more.
Mm.
Right.
Simple
And so
enough, right?
if we just practice the lifestyle that we want, what about us?
Yep.
If we just practice the lifestyle that we want, think about the kind of player in this game that we could be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that if there's any contribution to 2021, I'm going to keep pushing that energy in 2021. Embrace your imperfections.
So for all these agents that are watching and that will watch this, you guys, Sekou has one of the coolest groups ever. He has got a couple of them, but he really is dedicated to helping people grow their business. And CAP, we call it CAP. So
Yes.
Sekou, tell everybody where they can find you and how they can become part of that if they choose.
So if you are an agent and you are willing to be held accountable, right? That is the admission into the group. You have to be willing to be held accountable, and you have to turn on your camera. Right. So if you are an agent that's willing to be held accountable, and you have to turn on your camera, no matter what state of being you're in, you might have the eye patch on, your hair my hair is always messed up. Right.
Yeah.
It's called Commitment to Capping. And it's inside Facebook. It is a private group, but you can search it and find it. Request to join. I don't care what model, what brand, what level of business you're at, what you could be brokers are welcome to. We do not recruit in there. It is entirely about business development, and in our case, capping, right?
Yep.
It is
Doing the work.
6 days a week, 5 days of lead gen, 6 days of accountability. The only day that we take off is Saturday because I'm trying not to get divorced.
I love Saturdays. That's a favorite day of the week.
That's where my honey-do list comes in, and sometimes where I just kind of put my feet up on the couch. But I'll tell you now, it is a great group of agents. We script, we test ideas, we prove concepts and theories, and sometimes we fight about the best way to do things. And the only requirements is that you're willing to be held accountable, and you're willing to turn on your camera and just represent yourself, not have some avatar be there. That's it.
So I would think as we roll into the next year, and a lot of agents have been lost because they didn't know what to do with all this virtual stuff, and they may still be lost because there's a lot of companies that aren't doing anything virtual. No place better to go than to hook up with you and get trained and collaborate, because that's what we do.
Come on in. We're going to have a good time. I tell you right now, there's not a single agent that's participating there that's not going to do at least 20 million in business this year. I don't care what level they're at. They're going to do it. If they want it, they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Sekou, thank you so much for being here today.
Listen, Trish, first of all, thank you for inviting me. And I think what I'm going to do before the end of the year is we're going to have an eggnog making night. My wife is probably going to make coquito. We'll probably have a battle between the coquito and the eggnog creation. And we're going to do it live. I'm going to invite you and the family.
Yes.
And we'll just make it like just like a huge Zoom where we're having fun and flour on our
I
face
love
and
it.
stuff like that. Okay.
Count me in for sure.
All right, my
Thanks for
love.
being
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Bye, you guys. Y'all
Let's
have a great
go.
day.
Anything but average, baby. Let's go.
I love it.